It's time to talk about the deck that finally decided to man up and steal every other deck's support and then become meta. Today we're talking about Magnolia, the multi-attacking recursion machine that's either the best deck in the game or the second best deck in the game depending on who you ask. The deck's goal is very simple, to get 4 attacks turn 3 and then 6 attacks on turn 4 that all can hit over defensive triggers, all while abusing cards like Inpix and Inlet Pulse Dragon to stop the deck's resource problem. Let's get into the deck list now. We're abusing the Zorga Ride line for its simple free draw 2, discard 2, and if we see one of our 4 of order, we can discard 1 and plus 2. Our backup plan is to just discard Panthero and get him back off his own effect later. Despite how good the 2 free units from the Magnolia Ride line can be, the consistency of the Zorga Ride line pushes it over the Magnolia Ride line. By the way, the odds of seeing one of our 4 orders are about 55% if we don't try to mulligan for it, but it moves up to 75% if we full mulligan for it. Magnolia Elder is surprisingly one of this deck's best cards. It's not what single-handedly makes the deck, but it fixes a lot of problems with the previous grade 3. It no longer costs a counterblast, freeing up skills like Gnosila. It straight up adds intercepting in addition to what the previous grade 3 did. It gives calling out of soul to add extra value, and most funny of all, since it's not in your ride deck, you can run 4 of them, subtly upping the consistency of a Persona Ride dependent deck. Our 2 main cards for playing around resources are Blue Artillery Dragon Inlet Pulse Dragon, redundant name much, and Sylvan Horn Beast Inpix. Inlet Pulse Dragon fixes this deck's soul problem and draws 1 while doing it. He's live turn 3 and sets up for a target to call out a soul with Magnolia Elder skill. Inpix gives himself plus 10k in back row, but more importantly, if you have 3 or less rearguards, he gives us column resist, which means on turn 3, if we set up our board to have Inlet Pulse Dragon, Inpix, and some other rearguard, we can deny decks like Seraph Snow and Gravidia their ability to retire while meeting our full turn 4 attack options while still plussing. This is what makes the deck scary. It can handle the other best decks in the game extremely well, and that makes these 2 cards easy 4-ofs. Sylvan Hornbeast, Glenosula, and Gabriel are our offensive engines. Since we're no longer dependent on Counterblast, we can fully make use of Glenosula skill every turn. He at minimum will be giving 15k to another unit, as well as maybe more with triggers. Gabriel gives himself 10k for Soul Blast, as well as Guard Restrict. The way Gabriel works is for every grade of rearguard your opponent controls, they can't guard Gabriel's attack with those grades in hand. Our main goal with Gabriel is to use this skill to block out grade 1s so our opponent can't PG. Hitting grade 2s is nice, and hitting grade 0s is basically impossible. Our 2 recursion and revival cards are Sylvan Hornbeast Panthero and Spiritual Body Condensation. Panthero gives himself plus 5k on turn 3 and above. But more importantly, he revives a copy of himself from drop for his Soul Blast. This means we can use him as both a backup plans if our unit gets retired, and as discard fodder when riding. Why neg when we don't have to? Spiritual Body Condensation is a very simple Soul Blast 1, revive 1 from drop, and give it 5k. Easy value, but it should be noted that because we're running it over Wild Intelligence, managing Soul Blast is very important for this deck. We're not running Wild Intelligence for its lack of attack game, as well as to ignore the Counterblast cost, which sometimes isn't live on turn 3, when it would be most powerful. Both these are 4-of to maximize how much we can see them. We need to see at least 2 copies of Panthero for his full skill, and we want to see at least 1 condensation to combo with our ride line. For Trigger lineup, I'm running Rainbow triggers so it can max out on extra guard value. Fronts get only 3 because they're the least needed in the deck. Before I move on, I want to mention that the key to playing this deck is optimizing boards to hit over defensive triggers and magic numbers. On the mulligans. First and foremost, we're looking for our grade 4 in our order. We're looking for our grade 4 so we can secure a Persona Ride, and we're looking for our order so we can discard it off our ride line. After that, we're trying to fill up our hands with as many units to set up for our attacks. Inpix being in the dependent category is a bit mixed. In matchups where our opponent isn't going to mess with our board, and we can just focus on getting units with higher numbers. However, in matchups like Seraph Snow, this card is indispensable and should be one of your highest priorities to find in hand. Keeping guard and PGs matter for those matchups where guarding early or playing defensive is needed. Put back draw heal in your overtrigger. On the matchups. This deck rushes down just about every other deck in the game, and decks that should be able to stop this deck through retiring just can't anymore thanks to Inpix. If you can somehow clear this deck's boards with skills like Barrow Magnus or through Krillursa, you do have a solid advantage, but it's still probably going to be a very rough game. Before I continue, I know 98% of you aren't subscribed. I put a lot of work into these videos, so I hope you all subscribe so I can put more time and effort into making videos. Also, I have a Discord server y'all can join if you want to talk about card games, help vote on future video topics, or just want to chill. On the deck rating. For 6 attacks at large number and guard restrict, it's a very easy 5 out of 5 on power. It's just proof of how game-winningly strong multi-attacking can be. Speed is a weird one for the deck. You're gonna start committing units on turn 2, and you have 4 attacks on turn 3, but you're not going at full power until turn 4. I'm giving the deck a 4 out of 5 on speed because the deck can play early on turn 2. The deck has a few very powerful control elements. It's got Guard Restrict thanks to Gabreg, and it's got Inpix who can stop your opponent from retiring. I'm gonna give it a mixed 2 out of 5 on control. The deck is very consistent thanks to our ride line and all the extra draw power Inlet provides. However, it's still possible not to see your Persona ride or an Inpix when you need it. So you're gonna have to give this deck a 4 out of 5 on consistency. This deck has the meta effect on versatility. Does it need to handle unique situations well, when it just beats everything else the same? But more seriously, it has Inpix to play around retiring, and decks that should counter it can't. It also has the ability to steal text from every other Storkea deck, so that's a 5 out of 5 on versatility. This deck can fill up its soul and draw thanks to Inlet plus Dragon, as well as consistently get units from drop or soul with its support. The ride line lets it draw +3, and it should be one, if not the highest value decks in the format. Too bad Nirvana exists. 4 out of 5 on value. Overall, this is such a fun deck to play. My only real problem with the deck is how Bushiroad has started to make staples as promos again. I really hope they learn from the last 2 times they destroyed their game. Outside of that, Magnolia is really proving how beneficial the nation system can be, being the first meta deck to use name lock support of another archetype in Overdress. It's also the most meta-relevant Storkea has ever been. I'd recommend this deck to meta players, Great Nature fans, or people who just like multi-attacking. Thanks for watching. Next Vanguard content is probably going to be for a premium format if I don't decide to release a video for an Orphist meme build I've made. Please like and subscribe so you can see that when it comes out. Also, for my Yu-Gi-Oh fans out there, my Ranking Every Yu-Gi-Oh deck Part 2 is still in production and should be coming out next, provided I can figure out what a Tindangle is. See you next time.